Okay, continuing from where I left in the last lesson, I used all these constant that I found, in limits.h. So this is was basically listed on the website, and I just used those constants to, print the ranges of uh, int char, unsigned char, long, short, unsigned short, all these things. So basically, I've just used this has defined symbolic constants to just print those things. Okay, this is defined in this thing called as limits.h. Okay, limits.h. Okay, so and if you want to know the similar things about float, it's actually defined in float.h. So I'll just show that also. Okay, so this is what is that float.h. So if you go through this, it will give you the detailed range and and the range of what float double and long double does. It's a bit different from how ints ranges of integers and characters are represented. It's just represented in terms of exponential radix base form. Okay, nothing much. Basically, my idea was to just introduce you to find how to find out. So if you could go into float.h and limits.h, you could pretty much find out what is the range of float, double, and long double in your particular platforms. Okay, so try that out at least. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to talk a bit about variables, how to declare them and everything. So basically there are four types of basic types: int, char, float, and double. So when you want to declare a variable, this is how you declare it. I think by now you really know how to declare variables and all that. Just to brush up. So if there's a variable I or number, that's how you declare it. You can declare more than one variable in a line. Okay, every line will have the type and the variable names for a comma I. Okay, whatever. Or you could also initialize those values. Okay, with whatever you want. Okay, and for example, char as ch. Okay, or you could have just one variable declared. So I'm just using some dummy names. So this is how you would declare variables, and I think previously I showed you the different kinds of types that can happen with long, short, unsigned, char, unsigned int. Okay, all that, and long double also. Okay, so these these are the different types of types, and how you declare variables for them. And for everything you can actually start declaring yeah, this thing, declaring start declaring variables and initializing them. Okay, and now let me talk about a bit of constants. So what do I say when I say constant? For example, 0 is a constant. You initialize a variable with a constant. Okay, so for example, if you want to initialize an int with a constant, you just say 223 or whatever, just this. Okay, so but for a character the constant would be like this. Okay, or b or c or whatever, or 1, whatever. So these will be character constants, and for float it will be like this, f. Okay, so when you put f on the end of this one, it means a float. If you don't put anything, it actually means a double. So that can be cross complication. So if you really want a float, so make sure you use f. Okay, so when you say f, it is float. Okay, and when you just say this, it's double. So for default, any decimal any floating point number you declare, it's a double. Okay, so for a long double, what you do is you say L. Okay, so this is what is a long double. Okay, and there could be other constants as well. For example, for long, so long number equal to, okay, so this is a long. So when you say L at the end, right, it says it's a long. There can be other types of constants like octal and hex. Okay, so let me just tell you what it is. Int octal underscore const equal to, see, for example, whenever you start a number with 0, it basically means an octal. So this is basically an octal number, octal constant. So this is actually the value is 31 that is stored. Okay, and there can also be a hex const, so xa. So this is basically a hex with value 10. Okay, so you can also put in an L, which means that it's a hex. It's a long with value 10. Okay, and for this also as well. Okay, and for example, another thing I missed out is you could actually have unsigned, signed and unsigned. So it will be like this: unsigned, unsigned. So unsigned number equal to u. Okay, when I say it's u, it means an unsigned constant. Okay, so so pretty much covered all the constants that you can get. One more thing I would want to cover before is this thing, difference between a string constant and a character constant. So for example, this is also is a string constant. Okay, anything between two double quotes is a string constant. Hello world is a string constant. Okay, but this is also a string constant, but this one is a character constant. So this is the difference between these two is very subtle. Okay, let me just tell you how this is represented. Okay, so a character constant is a single character. Okay, but a string constant is actually two characters. It's represented like this. So basically double quotes of h will be represented like this. This is not a valid C expression, okay, but I'm just showing you how it was represented. So it's nothing but a character h and followed by a /0. That means every string is terminated by /0. So you need to really understand the difference between a string constant and a character constant. So this is a string constant and this is a character constant. Okay, and this is not a valid C expression. So if you compile this program, it really won't compile. Okay, so and one last thing, I want to talk about enums before I end. So enums are also constants. So I'll just declare one and you will know. So you say enum and you say boolean month. Okay, and you say Jan equal to 1, Feb, March, okay, etc. Whatever. So you need to understand, for example, like whenever I want to use 1, right, I can use Jan. So that's what enum, the flexibility that enum gives. And for example, if I don't put Jan equal to 1, right, so Jan will be 0, Feb will be 1, March will be 3, and that just is the first enum constant is 0, and afterwards it gets incremented by 1. Okay, but you're free to assign values for enum. For example, I can assign it at whatever, 2 or 4. It won't comply. So what it means is wherever I want to use 5, I could use Feb. Okay, one of the use of this is when I say instead of 1, if I say Jan in a program that prints the months, okay, it's much better, or makes use of the months. So that's why you use enum. Otherwise it's no the use. And another thing is, this was not a part of the C standard, so later it was, but almost all the compilers implemented it. Later it became part of the C standard. Okay, so with this I'm pretty much done with this variables and constants. In the next lesson we'll look into operators, expressions, conditional expressions, and those stuff.